Down to a story that's all new at 6. A scathing new report found, quote, serious lapses by the DC Police Department during 2 years of investigations into officer-involved deaths. DC's auditors calling on acting police chief Robert Conti to make a change. Chief investigative reporter Eric Flack is live outside of DC Police headquarters tonight. And Flack, for a point of clarification here, this report doesn't call the use of force incidents they looked at unjustified, though, right?
Right, Zoe, and that's a very important distinction to make. But the DC auditor did tell me that this report shows a complete lack of thoroughness on the part of MPD when they investigate an officer's actions right up before that final moment when they use lethal force. The 381-page report, conducted by an independent firm and paid for by the DC Auditors Office, examined 4 deadly incidents involving DC police officers between 2018 and 2019. The report did not say MPD was wrong to clear the officers in those deaths, but it said the investigations into what led up to the deaths were often, quote, superficial and inadequate.
We found a lack of thoroughness, lack of comprehensive interviews, lack of really looking at what might have been done to avoid the fatality that did occur.
In the case of Marquise Alston, who allegedly fled from DC police officers in Southeast, then shot at officers as he ran and died when officers returned fire, the report found, quote, the interviews with the involved officers were extremely brief. All but one lasted fewer than 10 minutes. And during the investigation into DC police officers' actions before Jeffrey Price died after an accident with an MPD cruiser in 2018, the report, quote, found the investigative interviews of the 3 officers to be brief and relatively superficial. Jay Brown is Price's uncle. How can these interviews be brief and relatively superficial?
It alludes to the fact that MPD was making a conscious effort to evade the truth.
All 4 deaths and subsequent investigations happened under the watch of then DC Police Chief Peter Newsham, but it's acting Chief Robert Conti reacting to the report now, saying in a statement, quote, while I'm pleased that the report confirmed that the uses of force in the cases reviewed were justified, we must ensure that we are doing everything in our power to prevent those situations from occurring. One of the main recommendations that came out of this report is to make every single one of these internal affairs investigations into a fatality involving an MPD officer public, something that is not really done nationally, but just starting to become part of the national conversation when we look at police reform. We got a lot more about this story, including that complete report on our website. Reporting live tonight outside MPD headquarters, Eric Flack, WUSA 9.
Yeah, it all comes down to transparency.